Cipollone. Joe Hayes.
Thank you, Mr Chair. And I'm pleased to rise and take a call on the Christchurch Rates Validation Bill, sponsored by the Honourable Nicky Wagner, MP for Christchurch Central. Mr Chair, the Local Government Rating Act provides an avenue for councils to amend incorrectly set rates. In the case of Christchurch, it was to correct irregularities which occurred in the resolutions setting the Christchurch City Council's rates for the financial years 03-04 to 2012-2013. In particular, Mr Chair, as we've already heard from the previous reading of the bill, Christchurch City Council had been in breach of the Local Government Rating Bill for some 10 years. It seemed, Mr Chair, that the council may have felt their oversight of resolutions required would eventually right itself, but it didn't. Perhaps with the 2010 and 2011 earthquakes, that the resolutions error was the furthest thing from their immediate attention. But the problem, as suggested, just moved over for the urgency of the earthquakes. Were the council bureaucrats aware pre-earthquake of the rates resolution issue? Or knew that if left, the government may intervene? And did the councillors know about the situation? Or was this a genuine oversight? Was it arrogance? What was it? We in this House will never really know. For all our posturing and finger-pointing here today, Mr Chairman, we must conclude that we will never know what happened there, even including those auditors. And who kept an eye on those auditors, Mr Chair? We won't know. What we do know, Mr Chair, though, is that we're here today. This national-led government is righting the wrongs of the past. We're doing that. Because, you know, some of this stuff happened back in the previous government time, and it didn't. They were unaware of it. So, because the window for the Christchurch City Council rates resolution, its time has passed. We need to move on. Mr Chair, we've been here before, though, haven't we? Where the government has passed retrospective legislation pertaining to rates validation. Let's look at the first time we passed retrospective legislation on rates validation. The member Damien O'Connor sponsored the rates validation bill for the Tasman District Council during the period for 2003.
Order. We're on this bill.
Okay, rightio. What I was trying to do was explaining that this isn't the first time. We've done this 2 other times, the Tasman District Council and the Kaipara District Council, twice for rates validation. And, Mr Chair, these are examples of where the respective
Point of order,
councils...
Dr Megan Woods.
Mr Chairman, I'd just like your assistance on this. Clearly, you've already asked the Speaker once to get back to relevance. The Tasman District Council is not under question.
I'm the judge of that. Joe Hayes.
Thank you, Mr Chair. These are examples of where respective councils have not adhered to the law, and in the case of Christchurch City, when the rates resolution was simplified, the council failed to specify the rates payment dates, the penalties charged, how penalties were calculated, and the dates by which the penalties would apply. When it was brought to their attention by the Department of Internal Affairs, the council acted quickly. For me, Mr Chair, this is the 3rd time the government has had to pass legislation validating rates, and it has to stop, Mr Chair, because the cost of doing so through the House is very expensive, as we heard from the Minister. Mr Chair, just listen, because you might learn something. Mr Chair, I want to add, sorry. To the member, sorry.
Order.
Sorry, to
Order.
the member.
Order.
Sorry.
Order.
Oh.
Don't bring me into the debate. All right, and stick to the subject in hand. Joe Hayes.
Okay. For me, Mr Chair, this is the 3rd time the government has had to pass legislation validating rates, and it has to stop because the cost of doing so, as mentioned by the Minister previously, through the House has been so expensive. Mr Chair, I want to add into my speech today about the changes that have occurred in Christchurch post-earthquake. It's the work that the council continue to do to support the
Order, that's not part, look, this is a, remember, remember that. This is a very succinct debate, and the content of it doesn't go beyond what's in the bill, and ask the member to come back to it. Okay. Joe Hayes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is a short yet focused bill that is remedying the wrongs. Clause 5 validates, Mr. Chair,
Move the